News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
Silicon Valley Central Chamber of Commerce is a regional chamber. What that means is we look at the topics that are across the region versus one city at a time. We are also the Santa Clara Chamber in calling ourselves as the Santa Clara Business Council. What that means is we focus on the city itself. Each city functions differently than every other city. Of course, there are common elements, the permitting process, the advocacy aspect. So the purpose of our chamber is ensuring that businesses and economy thrive across all Silicon Valley. And if you ask me what is Silicon Valley is not one city.
Right.
Many people, I find it so fascinating and so adorable when people ask me, Harbir, where is exactly Silicon Valley on the map? I can't find it. Well, because it's actually not one city. It's as much a concept as it is a physical space. It is all the way to Palo Alto on one end, all the way to Watsonville, to Gilroy on the other end, and the north you have all the way to just south of Fremont. So we cover a very large space, right? Business does not stop at the borders, so we believe we should not stop at the borders. It's not like you walk into the end of the city and boom, you hit a door or you hit a wall, an invisible wall. So that's why we think that it's important to focus on the regional conversations because everybody's focused on their city. And we said there's nobody focusing on the region. When people have issues in one city, they do affect the other city because we're all interconnected. For example, the city you're sitting in right now, Santa Clara, has 2.7 times the population during the day versus at night. So where do those people come from? They're from all over the cities, all the Bay Area. So that's why we're the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce. So we focus on the region. That includes transportation, that includes the commerce, that includes policy, that includes education and networking, and connecting resources to build partnerships and further economy. Let's think about it. Firstly, Silicon Valley is approximately 66% minority. When you hear that, you don't think that is logical. When America is concept, you consider it was land of the earlier folks, which happen to be from European descent. But in this case, Silicon Valley is a very unique hub. We have over 40% from Asia. That includes India, or South Asia, which is India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, all the way to Eastern, which is Korea, China, Japan, all these countries. So we have a very, very diverse population. And people don't understand how can that, thrive. We're all so different. But that's the beauty. Everybody is allowed to bring their whole self to work here, to be an entrepreneur, to innovate, to be productive, to be successful. India is one of the largest leaders of innovation in the Silicon Valley. At one point, and you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember the year, the data was collected as that the 40% of Silicon Valley CEOs or founders were from South Asia or India itself. That is so huge.
I don't know what is the figure now.
I don't have the new figures, but what matters is that we are such impactful contributors. Here, religion plays no part. Here, you get to bring your whole self to work and have the opportunity to be creative, to be all that you want to be without the worry of your color, of your skin, the religion you practice, the caste, the culture, anything. For example, may I tell you a story, and it's not to do with Indians, but just a story for your future. There was a gentleman who was a Hispanic gentleman who was working in the tech industry, and he was actually a senior director. Somebody asked him to come and pick up the garbage can because they thought he must be labor. He said, I'm happy to do that, but would you rather not call the janitorial services? It is because people here are not used to everybody having an equal playing field. And India and Indians are heading up all the major corporations. Google, they play senior roles. Google, YouTube, Google Foundation, Microsoft, Intel, you name it. They're either at the CXO level or they are the CEO. That doesn't happen by chance. It is because as Indians, we bring some of the best values to this conversation.
What values that Indian brings?
Value for hard work, value for savings, value for productive and being successful. I can tell you this, if you get a 98% in school, your mom and your papa will always tell you, but why didn't you get 100%? Okay, that's our culture. That's who we are. It's never enough. And that craving and that aspiration is what separates us. I'm not saying other ethnicities don't believe this way, but as being one of the largest populations on the planet, this is something that is part and parcel of who we are. It's in our nature to always be entrepreneurial. As I said, jugaad karna. If there's a problem, put a desi on it, you'll find a solution.
That's innovation.
That's innovation. You don't need tech. It's just in our blood. Well, there's many relationships actually. I will tell you, let's talk about the basics. The basics are the majority of outsourcing is still done in India, right? The tech industry is able to thrive in the United States because they can do the 3-to-1 model, which is the 1 employee in America costs 3 employees in India. I mean, let's be real about that, right? Who's running all the operations? Who's keeping all the lights on? It is our forces, our community, that is in part and parcel and bread and butter of every buried tech company in some way. They cannot survive without us, really speaking, okay, number one. Number two, we bring some of the brightest minds from India. There's a reason why they keep trying to cap the visas, because they know we're so good that they just have to put a limit, otherwise we could take up all the jobs. Please don't tell that to the other public, because that would be very offensive to them, right? But the truth is, it is in our nature. So that is one, but that is not only in tech. If I was to go back to you about Silicon Valley, Northern California, in the 1890s is the first time South Asians landed in California, 1896 to be exact. And they were the farmers of Punjab, farmers of North India. They came for the free spirit to do whatever they can with their hard work. Do you know California is one of the largest and most successful farming countries in the world? If you notice I said the word country, it's actually a state.
Right.
But it has producers that are bigger than any other country in the world. Raisins, Indians are the largest raisin growers in the world. We forget that it's not only about tech. Don't get me wrong, tech is so critical. But all I'm trying to show you is that we're so much more than just tech, right? When it comes to hospitality, when it comes to entertainment, we are seeing all over the region many South Asian owners, owners that are actually opening up restaurants, opening entertainment. Why? Because we are able to be in any particular subject. You give us anything, we can thrive. We can be successful. Healthcare, look at the medical industry. How many of the South Asians are doctors? We have a significant portion that are doctors. A little joke for the viewers. When we came to the United States, we had two jobs that were allowed, or 2 career paths. You could either be in engineering, or you could be a doctor. The rest of my family is doctors. I'm the only electrical engineer. I think that is actually spoken in the Desi circles. It's not really spoken like that in the other circles. That is only because we're so aware of it. So when we came to the United States, maybe in my high school, there were 2 Indians. And that was me and my brother. That's it. Now, coming to California, it is a very unique place. This is not America, in the sense that what you see here is very truly unique to this region. Now, we have seen in the recent 5 years to 10 years, after COVID especially, we've seen a lot of South Asians and especially Indians moving to different industries. And the reason is because COVID gave people a reason to change. So that is one reason. Secondly, a lot of people come here because there's such a population. All jokes aside, with no offense, Fremont is known as Punjab. Sunnyvale is known as Hyderabad. Depending on where you go, it's natural you go to where you know people and where the community is. So that's very true that there are a lot of South Asians here. And we add to so much of the variety and diversity. People have started eating Indian food like it's everyday food. The Google campus, NVIDIA campus, Intel campus, Facebook campus, you have by itself an Indian food station. Why is that? It is not just for Indians. We are promoting our culture as well, and people love that. We're adding to the spice of life for California. Look, I think it was after Manmohan Singh, we saw a lot of openness, right? I do remember that myself. It allowed for a lot of exchange. I believe that exchange has allowed or not only allowed, it's not that somebody gave them permission. India has totally leveraged that openness and made it their own. They're forced to be dealt with by themselves. We've always had the brain power. We've always had the resources. Why did every country on the planet try to attack India? Whether it was the Hun, the Turks, the Mughals, you name it. Everybody has tried to invade India. Why? Because it was the land of resources. We didn't need to go invade anybody else. Everything was in India.
Right.
Everybody came to India. They didn't leave. Alexander came, he didn't leave. Everybody comes because India has everything there is to offer. The challenges are, of course, there are major economic divides. And I think maybe I'm a bit of an idealistic person, but the truth is I feel that you are as rich as the poorest person in your country. Those are areas where India can still work. Because when the rest of the population is successful, all business will be successful because now everybody has money to go spend. Now back to the question of how has India taken or advanced? Look, they're an equal player in the field. Look at the space age, what they've done, and so resourcefully what they've done with medical, what they've done with pharmaceuticals. India is thriving in all these regions. What we want to do is keep that bridge open, which is why I'm also on the Silicon Plus, the Sister Cities International Board. And our goal is to build bridges all across the world. And I'm so happy to see that there's so many bridges through the sister cities with India. So many. You name it, almost every city. The third is Rotary. Rotary and Silicon Valley, Rotary and International and India and America. So many bridges. That's how we build the future. We cannot be closed about it, but we have to remember we cannot do it by ourselves, right? But we need to know that India has all the resources and the manpower and the brains that are needed to be successful at any time. I do feel that in the past, we were going through difficult challenges. I mean, after the Brits left, Papa remembers when he walked across the border. His feet were bloody because he didn't have any chappals. I don't forget those things. But he has shown me through that, he said adversity, he said because of that adversity, we are stronger. Because of those moments, we are always going to aspire. If you don't have difficult times, you can never want more. And because of those difficult times, we have been catalyzed, we have been pole vaulted, and we have leaped into modern day to be the equal player in the world. I strongly believe that education is critical. We have so many organizations here. We also need to remember that you don't need to bring Indians to America. We need to help them where they are. And if that means education, that means partnership, that means mentorship, I believe that is the key. We respect education so much at every level. And I believe that's an easy one for us to fix. Because many American Indians, or Indian Americans, strongly feel connected to India. We still do. Still, I consider that is where I was from. I was born in Harbir. I remember taking a gazillion dubkis in the Ganges, freezing. I mean, those are very true memories. I'm very clear of my origins, and I want to see them thrive. So we have to continue sharing our best practices. That means in running a community, running city government, enabling our hospitals to be as innovative as possible, using the best practices, providing education from the top to the lowest level of humanity. When we do that, then we've empowered everybody else to be solving problems for themselves. You cannot keep giving handouts. You must be self-sustainable. And I believe that's where we can give them the tools. With a population of such a size, it's a very, very giant issue to try to solve. So what we have to do is empower every individual. If we empower every individual, then we've taken half the problem away, which is trying to motivate them to take action. So once we empower them, now they become part of the solution. I believe that is what we can do. Otherwise, trying to convert 1.4 billion people into, choosing to become developed is not going to happen. We have to give them the resources so they individually want to aspire. We are very resilient people, and we will be.